Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Unsettled, the 1 to 4 player cooperative survival game of planetary exploration. No disclaimer needed for this one, but a huge shout out to Howard from our Discord. He sent me his all-in copy of the game just so I could cover it. Howard, you are the best. Unsettled was Colin's Game of the Year from last year. Did I like it as much as that? Let's find out and get to the list. So I am starting out with a full pro at number 5, and that's the smooth turn progression of the game and how nicely it plays. To explain what I mean by this, unlike a lot of cooperative games, there is basically no enemy turn here. There's no kind of downtime while you deal with the game state. You use your dice, you take your actions, and you move the time marker forward, and the next player does the same, and the next player does the same. It's a really nice, smooth, and flowing way to organize play, although I will note that some players might miss that kind of like enemy oppositional turn, and not having it here could bother them. But I'm right down to a full-on con for number 4. I think this is probably the one that could break the game for some people. It might be their number 2 or number 1 if they played it. What I'm talking about here is the optimization puzzle and the question of replay. So in Unsettled, you play on one of 6 unique planets, 2 in the core game, and each of those planets has 3 different tasks. And while there are a lot of random elements in those tasks, which cards you get and when, and how the map is laid out, that doesn't change the fact that the scenario goals will always be the same. And when you play the first time, it can sometimes seem too challenging because a choice you made a while back kind of screws you and something's in totally the wrong place. And then flipping that when you play a scenario the second or third time, you know exactly what you need to do. You can kind of make choices that feel almost too well informed. But right back to a pro for number 3. I know this is one of Colin's favorite things about the game, and that's the cooperation through the card play, especially the breakthrough technology cards you unlock and the anomalies you discover through exploring the planet. So these abilities are really cool, really exciting, and give tons of cooperation throughout the game because you can use your ability cards on any player's turn. You can do things like move them out of danger, heal them, teleport them, take away their critical conditions. Now, the one negative of this for some play groups is that everything is open information, so you could have some alpha gaming and quarterbacking going on, but I'm going to call that dependent on your group because it hasn't happened in any of my plays. Another thing I really enjoy, a full-on pro at number 2, is the action system. So you've got these focus cubes, they call them, not dice, because all you do is rotate them to track how much focus each one has. And you put them on different action options, both on your player board and on the planet itself. Most of the actions tick down your focus, and if it goes too low, you'll start running out of time, which is going to lose you the scenario. But then there are really cool and varied ways to tick your cubes back up and rest, but often with some kind of penalty or cost that you might not want to play. So it's a really fun resource optimization puzzle. And one of the coolest things on top of this is how your player board changes throughout the game, because you'll have this sort of trait card that's double-sided, and when your morale goes up or down, it flips to the other side and changes up one of your actions, sometimes in a drastic way. And on top of that, each of the planets has different ways to give you these negative cards that cover up spots on your board and lock actions out. All of this is great. The combination of the not dice, the focus cubes, and the action card play, I just love it. And one more pro, because this game is awesome. This one is a no-brainer. I love the sense of exploration in this game, the huge variety in the planets. The big caveat here is that, again, only 2 come in the core game. The price for individual planets past that, once they're available again with the second Kickstarter if it's coming, that's not too bad. I think it's like $15 for another planet, and you get so much content for that $15. But for the base game, I think it's over $100, and you get only 2 planets. So you are paying a bit of a high premium to kind of get access to the experience overall, but then if you don't mind expanding beyond that, the value proposition gets way, way better. Well, let's talk about these planets. Each of them has fully unique technologies you can unlock to have those great combos I mentioned. Each of them has fully unique encounters with alien life forms, fully unique anomalies those life forms give you as bonuses, fully unique ways to get the negative cards and ways they can sometimes help you, and other special cards you can unlock, and different ways to move around, and totally different objectives, and different ways your robot can be used. I mean, it really is incredibly impressive. So yeah, if you can't tell, I am right there with Colin. I'm not sure if this would have been my game of the year last year, but it probably would have been in top 3 if I had played it in 2021. I think you should definitely consider checking out Unsettled if you're a fan of survival games like Robinson Crusoe, if you're a fan of more exploratory games like The Seventh Continent, if you like narrative, because something I didn't mention, this I guess is point number 6, the writing in the game is great and it's incredibly humorous. Like, how often does a game make you laugh out loud? It's really crazy how funny they got this flavor text. On the other hand, you might want to avoid Unsettled if you don't like challenging survival games. It is really tough, especially on your first play of a task. You also might want to avoid it if you don't think you'll ever buy more than the base game, because again, I think just having 2 planets and not expanding beyond that is not really necessarily worth the value they're charging for the game. I think you need a few of those planets to make it even out. And finally, you might want to avoid this one if you're only going to play co-op and you have really bad quarterbacking or alpha player issues, because the game doesn't really prevent that. But if you have a normal group that likes to talk to each other, it should be totally fine. And if you want to see this one in action, Colin did like 55 playthroughs. Pretty much every planet he has a little taste of it. So check out any of the videos. I linked one above and see what you think. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.